Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 news and the Final Shape / Echoes Act 2 / Solstice of Heroes intel. And today is Friday, so we have our Friday weekly update. Xur has returned, as well as Trials of Osiris. So I'll give you a brief rundown on those two things, as well as all the other farms, glitches, and cheeses that you can use heading into the weekend if you haven't had a chance to play very much this week. Lots going on in Destiny at the moment with the Solstice of Heroes. If you haven't played Bonfire Bash, maybe you're going for some of the new weapons. Maybe you're going for some of the armor shaders, which are pretty cool. I actually think the weapons are even better, but I'll get to all the ways that you can farm out any of those things solo, using glitches, and doing it as fast as possible, maybe at the end of the video. First, we're going to cover Xur, and then we'll head over to Saint 14 and talk about Trials this weekend. It's actually looking like it's going to be a more interesting weekend for Trials than the previous ones. But today, Xur is selling the Wardcliff Coil Catalyst. I feel like the Wardcliff Coil Catalyst has been for sale at least a few times now since he was moved to this location and his cache was revamped. So I don't know why he keeps favoring this particular catalyst. I don't know if it was the catalyst or the actual weapon that was sold last, but I think both have several times at this point, so sort of interesting, I guess. We have the Hardlight Catalyst, which is actually an interesting one for sale today, which we'll talk about in just 1 minute, but I actually think that this is worth picking up. The Hardlight is a unique weapon, to say the least, and is still pretty good in PvP as well as PvE, depending on what you're doing. I actually think that this is still a decent weapon to use in Trials if you don't have a better go-to. We have the Raiju's Harness for the Hunter class with a 62 roll, heavily favored in mobility. Maybe not the best roll on this particular exotic, though it's not a terrible stat distribution. Pick it up if you don't have it, as allows for early deactivation of Arc Staff, so there used to be some really interesting builds you could do with this one. I don't really know exactly how it plays into the PvE meta, or PvP meta for that matter, at the moment, but let me know in the comments section down below. We have the Mark 44 Stand-Asides, a really old exotic for the Titan class, with a 65 overall stat roll, fairly even distribution across the board. Safer shoulder charge abilities. You know, I think that there's some better options at the moment, but not a terrible roll on this exotic, though. Pretty mid-tier, you could probably skip it, and like I said, the stat distribution, though you could build into it, is not really heavily favoring the things that I would necessarily want. I would probably want all the mobility into resilience, but still not terrible. And then we have the Getaway Artist with a 61 roll, and I'll recommend picking this up even though the stat roll is really subpar with 61. I am actually a little shocked that there's even a chance of getting any exotic from Xur under really 65. I think 65 should sort of be the basement for all exotics sold from Xur, but though this isn't a good stat roll or really a great stat distribution, I will recommend buying these if you don't have them, because they are probably the best or at least easiest go-to exotic to pair with Prismatic. They're certainly the thing that I've been using the most since the launch of the Final Shape and the launch of Prismatic. They're definitely my go-to, incredibly strong exotic paired with Prismatic builds, so pick them up if you don't have them. Otherwise, you could probably skip them just because it's not the best really anything. And as far as exotics go, this is actually a pretty weak week from Xur as far as exotic armor. A weak week. Xur, you're a weak. Anyway, and then for, unfortunately, the last tier of the Marvelous Strange offerings, we only have upgrade modules for 11 Strange Coins, which is a horrible deal. This is a really bad deal on upgrade modules to spend 11 Strange Coins. I know you have to spend Strange Coins in order to get more Strange Coins, which I think is sort of weird, but this is not good, especially considering that we have had Artifice Armor in the past, and I'm sure everybody is waiting with bated breath to see the day when Artifice Armor returns in this slot. And like I said on the day that it was here and was available for sale, you might want to pick it up, even if it's not the best looking piece of Artifice armor, because if you don't have any, you might never see it again. I think they should really bring it back at least. I think we should have seen at least one piece of Artifice armor for sale again by this point. But unfortunately, still nothing this weekend. Remember, the rank rewards are decent, and the Strange Ingrams do drop red borders. So if you have several of these, it's still very much worth ranking up Xur. Now onto our more strange offerings page. Remember, we still have the strange coins for sale. These are redeemable because there was a glitch that wasn't awarding enough strange coins. This was the way that Bungie remedied that. So you have 47 free strange coins still available until you pick them up. I have to spend more strange coins, apparently, before I can pick them up. But also remember that if you were not getting the buff, or you were not seeing the buff really give you the amount that you should be getting, that's this buff, of course, the Favor of the 9 buff. It was because it was glitched out. And also, the Favor of the 9 buff is supposed to be account-wide. So I know there's been complaints since the Final Shape launched that people were confused by why it was specific to a character. It's supposed to be account-wide. It just hasn't been changed yet. So apparently that will be changed in the future, and it was never supposed to be per character. We have Ascendant Shards for sale for 23 strange coins. We have Enhancement Cores for 5 strange coins. 3 Enhancement Cores for 5 strange coins. We have 11 Enhancement Cores for 11 strange coins. You can skip all this because these are terrible deals this week. Really bad offerings. But the Glimmer is good. Glimmer always seems to be pretty good. We have 30,000 Glimmer for 5 strange coins, and we have 70,000 Glimmer for 11 strange coins. That's a deal. Now, that's the kind of deal I'm talking about. We need this applied to all of this stuff more often. Although I guess, I get it that it's supposed to be kind of randomized, but the Glimmer has been very, very good consistently, and this stuff not so good consistently. Remember, if you're looking to spend strange coins also, I always think that the strange gifts are some of the best places to spend them because you get a whole bunch of good stuff. You won't just get weapons or armor, even though you can get blue stuff on occasion. You also get raid banners. You get, I think, upgrade modules as well. You might be able to get enhancement cores as well. Bunch of stuff. So I actually think that's the best way to spend strange coins if you're just looking to spend a few in order to actually buy the Favor of the 9 buff. Over on our strange gear offering page, we have our Hawkmoon, of course. People have asked why the Hawkmoon is always for sale at Xur. It's because the Hawkmoon was originally part of an exotic mission, which was removed from the game and hasn't returned yet. So much like the 0 Hour mission, this had its own. And yeah, I actually thought it was really a great mission. But it was removed and no replacement yet. So like the Presage mission, which dropped DMT, also used to be just always here. You always have a Dead Man's Tail roll for sale. They brought that exotic mission back. I'm not really sure why they didn't bring this one back at the same time, but that's why it's here. We have the Jade Rabbit. Oh, by the way, Hawkmoon with Hipfire Grip. Let's just see if there's anything else decent on it. We have Hipfire Grip and Polymer Grip. Okay. We have the Jade Rabbit. This is good in certain PvP playlists, specifically ones where you don't have any shields. This is kind of still the go-to. I think it's a decent scout rifle to have if you don't have one. We have the Hard Light. So not only do we have the catalyst for this weapon, we also have the actual exotic for sale. So you can just do it all in one day. Interesting. I don't think I've seen the exotic. Maybe there was one time where the exotic was for sale the same day the catalyst was from Xur since the revamp. But this is definitely like one of 2 days where that's been the option. So pick it up and the catalyst if you don't have it, or if you didn't have one or the other. I can't imagine you would have the catalyst before actually having the exotic, but you know what I'm saying. And then we have the Darcy, which, yeah, I don't know what you would really use this for. I mean, I suppose it would be decent. Like, second. I think it's actually a pretty good second grade option for the Witness. If you don't have the new sniper rifle, which I'm sure most people do. But this is actually still a useful exotic in some ways, as it shows the health of an enemy, even if you don't have the health bar appearing. So it's kind of a way of cheesing some other raid bosses as well as a couple of dungeon bosses. It's a unique exotic for sure, and I actually have used it in PvP, and it's got incredible aim assist, though you need to have heavy ammo. But still, you know, decent. I'm sure most people have it, though, because it's a pretty old exotic. So that's it for exotic weapons. Now on to legendary weapons. We have the Dire Promise with autoloading holster and osmosis. We have a Sherlock with subsistence and Eye of the Storm. We have a 7th Seraph CQ-12 shotgun with autoloading holster and Vorpal weapon. That's not bad. Kind of like that. We have a Brigand's Law with threat detector, volt shot, and right hook. This is a deep sight activation weapon. Pick this up if you don't have it. This will be very good for PvE meta, especially if you're a sidearm person, or when sidearms are the... well, actually, I think they are at the moment. They are for... what is sidearms? It's one of the champions. It's Unstoppable Champions. So yeah, this is good for currently for things like GMs and such. We have Bad Omens with autoloading holster and quick draw. We have a Huscow with autoloading holster and kill clip. Also not terrible for a rocket launcher. And then we have an Eternity's Edge. I was asking why I always see this particular weapon or this sword for sale. Apparently because this is the unique one for the Warlock. I was unaware of that. There's a unique one for all classes, so you're probably seeing that. But for the Warlock, we have Infinite Guard, Energy Transfer, and Surrounded. For Legendary Armor, we have nothing too stand out. This isn't a bad gauntlet for the Warlock. Not too great for the chest piece. Terrible stat roll for the helmet, and a terrible stat roll for the leg armor. I think the Hunters also had a fairly decent piece. Everybody had at least one decent piece that was something similar to this. I think the Hunters had a chest piece, and the Titans might have some boots that were decent. And that is going to be it for Xur today. Oh, of course, we have our exotic cipher over on the second page. Remember to pick it up so that you can turn all your exotics into a piece of artifice armor. If you didn't know, you can do that now, you know. But that's definitely something you should know to do. But that's it for Xur today. We're going to make our way over to Saint 14. We're also going to cover Banshee 44 and talk briefly about Master Raoul, who got, I think, an update. It was either a secret update. I don't know if... I thought it was a glitch at first. It might still be a glitch, but it certainly seems to be working under some parameters. So usually when something like that happens, we either got something early that wasn't intended, or it just was a secret. So we'll talk about that before I head over to Saint 14. But just briefly at Banshee 44, today we have the number with Under Pressure and sympathetic arsenal, and spare rations with Rapid Hit, Focus Fury, and Disaster Plan. We have a Farewell sidearm with Tunnel Vision and Vorpal weapon. This is also not a bad sidearm. Widow's Bite with Lead from Gold, Eye of the Storm, and an Honor's Edge with Burst Guard, Relentless Strike, and Shattered Blade. Like I was saying, over at the Cryptarch, Master Raoul, you might have noticed that since the update at the beginning of the week, over on our Focus Decoding page, we now have this page, which is like a specific armor focus decoding. Now, this doesn't seem like something that is normal, as it just kind of looks odd. Like the fact that, you know, it just says Engram, it just looks kind of blank. But the thing is that earlier this week, it was just for gauntlets, and as you can see right now, all we can get is boots. So this just might be a daily rotator on the specific piece of armor you want to focus, and it's certainly a lot cheaper to do this way. Now, of course, you're only going to be getting, you know, a whole bunch of, there's a lot of different in this case, boots that you could get, but it's still a lot cheaper to focus, and, you know, who knows? It'll rank up Master Raoul, of course, and, yeah, I think just for the price, it's actually probably one of the best ways to focus. But I don't know exactly if this was intended, if we were meant to get it now. It doesn't seem like it was announced in any way, so I'm just a little in the dark about it. As far as the seasonal activity, of course I'm talking about Solstice of Heroes, goes, there's some really good weapons actually available through Solstice of Heroes. The bow is actually one of the better bows and can really come with some amazing PvE rolls. There's something new. The hand cannon is really good as well. I actually thought that the rocket launcher was very decent because it can roll with bipod and hatchlings. This is actually a really good PvP weapon if you get the right rolls, though maybe not the specific roll, but the shotgun can roll with some really great stuff. If you're looking to farm out silver leaves, I did talk about it earlier in the week, a great farm that you can do, but I'll just briefly talk about it again over on Neptune. If you load up the campaign and the first contact mission, you take the first contact mission to the part right before the drop pods. There's a checkpoint there. You save the checkpoint by transferring over to another character, saving it on that character, have a buddy join you, and you can just reload into that checkpoint. It's just a brief animation of going into the drop pod, dropping down. As soon as you land, you will get silver leaves, and you can just repeat that process over and over again. That's if you're with somebody else. If you're solo, you're just going to want to go into private Crucible matches. And I will go over this specifically a little bit more, as I've talked about different ways to farm out private matches in the Crucible as a solo player before. If you want to know a little bit more about the exact settings, though I'm sure you can figure it out, I'll maybe make a video about that over the weekend. But you can farm out silver leaves through private matches in the Crucible. So all you have to do is sort of just make sure that the settings are set for a control match. It will be a control match that allow you to win the match as quickly as possible. So usually make the score very low, make the time very short, enable vehicles so that you can travel to all the different points quickly. And also, if you can find one where your spawn point is as close to the first flag or the first capture point as possible. There are some where I think you spawn in right on the capture point. That's also the best way to do it. Over at Commander Zavala, this week we have another really good bow available from the Nightfall and the GM Nightfall. The pre-Astyanax 4. This can also roll with some great rolls and is super meta, I guess. I don't use bows, so this is just what I've been being told, that both the Solstice bow as well as this bow are incredible for PvE and game meta if you're a bow person. Remember that this week we also had a bit of a change when it came to not only the Nightfall for the week, but also your GM Conqueror seal if you're going for that. The Psiops Battleground Cosmodrome was removed entirely, which was what we were supposed to have this week as the featured Nightfall, and was replaced with the Psiops Battleground Europa. So the Cosmodrome will not be in the rotation, and instead of getting Europa, we were actually switched back to Fallen Saber Strike, which is actually one of the best strikes to farm. So if you're looking for that bow, it's actually a really easy time to farm for it, though you will have to, of course, wait another week on the Conqueror Seal. This week over at Saint 14, by the way, if you are playing Trials, the map is the Distant Shore. And the Adept weapon is the Eye of Soul. Also remember, if you play trios, all you have to do, if you get the Passage of Mercy, if you play trios, all you have to do is get 7 wins. You will not go back even if you get a loss. You just have to get 7 wins and you get an Adept, but you have to play with 2 other people. So just find those 2 other people, and it doesn't matter how many losses you take, so long as you get 7 wins, you will eventually be able to get the Adept weapon. So Adepts are much easier to get now. Also remember, you can still get these weapons like Ashura's Care, which is great for PvE, for my PvE players who just want a great PvE weapon that is sort of locked behind a PvP wall. You can get free trials loot from simply doing the viewer bounties on Twitch live streams. My buddy Sinister, I'm sure, will be streaming, or my buddy DJ will be streaming Trials of Osiris sometime over the weekend. Both of the links to their Twitch channels are in the description box, and when they are streaming, I will make sure to pin the live streams in the pinned comment. And now briefly with a couple of other things, just as far as weekly news. We have over on the moon, it is sort of the moon week because we have the In the Deep mission, still the only AFK farm really in the game for weapons levels, as far as, if you're trying to gain a few levels, if you're trying to gain some XP. It's just the only place where you'll get continuous enemies that count for all of those things. Other than, some stuff on the Pale Heart with the chests, you can still do that if you have the macro. But this you can still do without a macro, completely AFK. All you have to do is go to the very end of the mission. If you're curious about that, though, I've talked about it many times in the past. You can leave a comment in the comment section, of course. And maybe I'll do a little bit more of a tutorial over that over the weekend if you're looking for an AFK farm. We have, for our featured raid, the Garden of Salvation. If you're looking to farm, or not farm, but if you're looking to get divinity, you have to, of course, do the Garden of Salvation. And then as our featured dungeon, we have the Pit of Heresy. Remember, the Pit of Heresy is also where you would get the Xenophage heavy machine gun, which is very good at the moment, I find. So, though you don't need to actually complete the Pit of Heresy, it doesn't have to be the featured dungeon to get the Xenophage, is where you would get the Xenophage. I think the Pit of Heresy is a great dungeon, though I do think it needs an upgrade. Come on, Bungie, add Artifice Armor to this dungeon and let it be just the most amazing dungeon in the current dungeon rotation. In my opinion, it's still my favorite. And that is going to complete all the information in today's video. Lots of stuff. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Hopefully you're finding Solstice fun. Bonfire Bash, kind of the same old, same old. I heard a lot of people talking in the last video I made on it that they really wish that Bungie would put the seasonal or Solstice event in maybe a different location. I don't disagree with that, though I do like the European Aerial Zone. As far as the aesthetic, it's a cool place, but we've been there a lot. I know it has been several years at this point. So, let me know. Hopefully you're still enjoying it. At least worth the grind for those weapons. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 Final Shape content like this. Remember, you can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They'll be linked in the description box down below, as well as those Twitch streams. Any of those things I just mentioned also enter you into any future giveaways on this YouTube channel. We do one every 1,000 subscribers. When and if we reach 100,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away an Xbox or a PlayStation or a video card if you play on PC. If you've watched to this point in the video, you can also leave a hashtag Xur or a hashtag the Final Shape or a hashtag Solstice of Heroes or a hashtag Trials of Osiris in the comments section down below for another entry into the next giveaway for this video. And once more, I'm Wilhelm Scream. Thanks so much for watching today. And of course, we will see you next time. Hope everybody has a great weekend.